This is Peter McCullough that you're looking at in the middle. He's on Drew Pinsky's show. Dr. Drew, he was a TV doctor for like Rehab and Loveline. I think he was on like some nationally syndicated radio show. Anyway, he had Peter McCullough on, and this guy seems to believe that vaccines cause autism and that autism causes being trans. Thus, the trans problem, quote unquote, as he views it, is caused by vaccines, and we need to like cancel all vaccine related anything. And he's apparently like a real doctor, as far as I can tell. Does he have an active medical license? I'm not really sure, but he has apparently written some studies that are considered very valuable, that have been cited a lot. That might be because of his notoriety, because he's well known, so like a lot of people are going to cite. I don't know, but he appears to be real, as far as I can tell. So anyway, let's give this a listen, see what they have to say to each other. Bound to be psychotic. And while we do, we're actually going to play some Mario Odyssey. If you never played it before, it should just be in the background, won't bother you too much. This is not part one. If you didn't see the other, don't sweat it. I'll give context if it's missing.
The messenger RNA almost certainly impairs DNA repair. So that's
almost certainly repair. So I guess he's talking about a mutator then, right? Because it impairs DNA repair?
Almost certainly impairs DNA repair. So that's mechanism number one. The spike protein, which we get exposed to with the infection and with the vaccine, but the S2 segment of the spike protein, by modeling study, University of Pittsburgh, Singh is the first author, impairs P53 and BRCA tumor suppressor systems. So now our
yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't believe a word that he's saying right now. Like any of it. Literally any of it. Dude is completely full of shit. Has been this entire time. And I'm not knowledgeable enough about medical science to understand. And he knows that. He knows that the audience is not knowledgeable enough for this.
Natural surveillance systems could have a drag on them. And then the final mechanism was the breaking news. Ford Labs have shown it, two manuscripts in the preprint server, one by McKernan and the other one by Spiegler, showing DNA.
Okay, this one I do know. I don't know what he's about to say, but I know what a preprint is. A preprint is in science, studies are peer-reviewed. They have to be peer-reviewed. So people have to try to reproduce the results and the information given before it's considered valid to any degree. In extreme situations, like people are dying, like hundreds of thousands, millions are going to die if we don't do something about it immediately. In extreme circumstances, we will look at, as you know, the scientific community, we'll look at the preprint server and see what people are writing. But preprint means it hasn't been peer reviewed. Somebody just submitted a study and no one has looked at it. No one has given it any credence. No one has tried to reproduce it. They just wrote it and, submitted it for review. Oh my God, dude, I suck. I suck at this game. That's all you guys sit here and do is listen to me say how much I suck. Anyway, I don't know what he's about to say, but it's invalid, whatever it is, because preprints are not settled. Preprints are still up in the air until proven otherwise. And guess who has the ability to prove it otherwise? This guy, if he actually ran the numbers and did the study himself, he could probably do it. To my knowledge, he is actually a scientist. I don't know what kind of scientist. But instead of doing it, of trying it and trying to get these results and using the scientific method to come to true conclusions about things, he's propagandizing. He's on this show lying and twisting it around to make it seem as though this is valid science when it's not yet. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge your religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
Two manuscripts in the preprint server.
2 manuscripts in the preprint server.
One by McKernan and the other one by Spiegler, showing DNA fragments in the messenger RNA products. It's called process-related.
Oh, DNA fragments. You don't say. Like RNA, kind of? RNA is like one half of a DNA strand, basically. It's more complicated than that. But you could probably, I mean, well, I don't know if you could say that in good conscience, but this guy would almost certainly say RNA is a DNA fragment, grossly simplifing it.
Impurities,
and plasmids.
Particularly SV40, what's called simian virus 40. This were the same fragments that actually contaminated the polio vaccines from 1955 to 1963.
I don't even know what he's talking about right now. I know about the polio vaccine, but I don't know what he's talking about with substances that contaminated it. What?
The jury is still out whether or not SV40 itself is directly oncogenic. I mean, I've looked.
Wait, well, why are you talking about it? If the jury is still out, quote unquote, why are you even saying any of this?
At that carefully. But now there's enough there to make us concerned that, the shots are lasting a long time in the body. They're in the lymph nodes. We have, United States, we have about 20 million cancer survivors among us.
I'm one. Kelly's one.
Okay. Yeah. So we have, so cancer survivors are common and you're somewhat vulnerable, right? Is there a worry that there could be a recurrence? We have no.
Look, here's the thing. Oh, look, they're hardy durian. That's really funny. I mean, hardy durian from Zelda, from Breath of the Wild. They're just durian fruit, I think. And durian it smells disgusting, but apparently it tastes pretty good. I understand that the smell is not enough to justify the taste. Anyway, to my knowledge, from what I've heard, there is something going on right now with cancers. Like, people are getting cancer at a higher rate over the course of the past 30 years than they were 30 years previously. Not over the past 5 years. But scientists are working on that right now, trying to understand what's happening. And I don't know what I'm looking at. What is this bird doing? What is this supposed to be? Is he vomiting I don't know what this is. Yeah, cancers are increasing is what I was saying. Let's keep listening.
Okay. Yeah. So we have, so cancer survivors are common and you're somewhat vulnerable, right? Is there a worry that there could be a recurrence?
Okay, sure. Yes. What's the point?
We have not only that, but we have a proneness to cancer, right? So we have family history. We have other environmental
What's the point?
Exposures. Now we're taking long-lasting shots with a new genetic mechanism of action. And
it's not a new genetic mechanism of action. It's pretty well understood. It's existed for like 30 years or more.
Multiple features to them. Could the next cancer, in fact, have been related to the vaccine? That's what we're in right now. So if we look at the cancer registries, all the cancer registries are up right now. Post-pandemic cancer.
Up compared to when? You mean up as in like up from 2 years ago? Or do you mean up as in up from 30 years ago? Because one is an accurate representation of the situation, and the other is just a fabrication seemingly with the intent to like lie to people, to give them a different impression than reality, like the idea that there are turbo cancers, completely made up. I just realized one of my videos is the comments are off. I don't know why the comments keep getting disabled for my videos. This is super weird. I can just re-enable it, but is it like a default setting or something? Step back, listen again.
The cancer registries, all the cancer registries are up right now. Post-pandemic cancers on the rise. There's no argument there.
There isn't? I mean, I don't know if that's true. Dude has just straight up made shit up in this whole thing. He was talking about, he's getting that information from those 2 preprint studies. Am I reading this correctly? Like studies that are completely invalid because they haven't been peer reviewed yet, and it's only 2 of them? I think that's what he's saying here. I'm just trying to find any evidence at all of this. And even if there was a rise in cancers, it doesn't mean it was vaccine induced. It could just be like COVID induced. COVID was bad in its own right. But of course, the implication is that it was vaccine induced. I'm sorry, this isn't the kingdom that I like. This one sucks. I mean, the next one is really cool. Yeah, I'm not seeing any evidence just at first glance here that what he's saying is accurate. It just looks like completely made up to me. I'm willing to believe it if there's some evidence, any evidence at all. Take anything. I don't believe him.
Going through all this,
I mean, he's already lied to us like 6 times. Quick interjection. This won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video.
now we look in the peer-reviewed literature. So Karagakos and colleagues, I'm the senior author. We published a paper of a man who takes...
I immediately don't trust it. And you published a paper of a man? Why'd you publish a paper of a man? I don't understand. So what about this man? I mean, usually people use like clinical trials and placebo-based studies and all that, right? Control groups and all that junk.
Argument there. Going through all this, now we look in the peer-reviewed literature. So Karagakos and colleagues, I'm the senior author. We published a paper of a man who takes the shot. It almost certainly looks like within a few days, the cancer was already there. It was a basal cell cancer, probably in his parotid.
Okay. I'm not like averse to the idea that that's happening. I suppose I'm willing to believe that. But why did you study a man? A study of a man? Why do I care about what a man did or what happened or whatever? Is this a trend that exists within society or within like vaccinated people? I mean, the claim is that he got vaccinated and the vaccine gave him cancer. It's not that COVID gives you cancer. It's that the vaccine gives you cancer. I don't understand why he's framing it the way that he is. Just the framing alone invalidates his scientific approach to it. He isn't giving a scientific approach. He's giving a politicized approach.
Literally just took off,
Exploded.
invaded his brain, and killed him.
Oh.
Now we have another paper. Gentili's the first author. Again, I'm one of the author in the writing group. Now we have lymphoblastic leukemia is completely looks like temporally related to the vaccine. And it wasn't just this case, but now there's 9 other cases. The point I'm making is
Wow, 10 cases is what you're telling me out of how many vaccines or how many vaccinated people? Let's be fair. 200 million, 250 million, 10 cases. Oh boy, that's a pattern. It's more likely that those 10 cases were 1 in 200 million type of deal. I guess 1 in 10 million. There are 1 in 10 million chances that something is going to happen. I'll take those odds.
all these cancer registries that are linked to the National Institutes of Health should immediately have a linkage to the CDC data, and it should be explored. I'm an epidemiologist. We should explore.
Is he really an epidemiologist? Is this real? Peter Cull. I mean, he's been on Fox News and everything. He's completely politicized this whole thing. You know what? I bet this guy believes that vaccines cause autism too, right? Let's see. Oh, please tell me that's the case. Please. Oh, I'm looking here. Oh, God, I think I found it. Yes. Oh, my God. He was on One American News. OAN.
Mental Health Awareness Week.
Oh, God. I know this woman. Okay. I need to start tracking this stuff because I can talk about this on my stream on Sunday, possibly. Talks to Peter. What's his name? How do you spell it? Peter McCullough about vaccines. Oh, I love it. Okay. This is Alison Steinberg. If you don't know Alison Steinberg, she's insane. She is insane. It's been a while since I've talked about her, like forever. Let me find something really good from her. Hang on. Okay, well, this one is pretty good. This one is psychotic enough. And this one, oh, she says slurs. Should I play those? Where she says slurs and stuff? All right, let's try this. Listen to this clip from Alison Steinberg, just so you know who is interviewing this guy in this video seemingly about vaccines and autism. I'm not sure. We'll see.
That liberals outright love killing babies. Yes, between abortions, forced vaccinations at birth, Formula shortages, courtesy of Biden. It's no secret that these mentally deranged leftists are coming for your kids. We've been warning about it for years, only to be met with denial from the left. According to them, abortion is a constitutional right, and life doesn't begin until the child is out of the womb. They attempt to casually sweep their obsession with literally murdering children under the rug in the name of choice. On the off chance you're uncertain about the presence of evil and the capacity of its influence upon our society, if you still need proof that liberals are sick demons who thrive on the thought of death, boy, do I have.
Oh my God, dude. Anyway, she went off into this whole thing after that. This is from 2022, by the way. This is from the same time period that the WHO conspiracy is from. That was early July 2022. This one is mid-August 2022. And the next one we're going to watch is from late July 2022. So all kind of grouped into the same time frame.
That's how you start a revolution. We should all know by now that you cannot comply your way out of tyranny. And the Dutch are leading by incredible example. So why can't we do that here in America? Why are we allowing these evil elites to dictate our lives? Why can't we all man the hell up and fight back?
Evil elites, by the way, literally exactly what, a quote from Hitler. It's a Hitler quote. Evil elites controlling everything and blah, 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 blah.
I don't know about you, but I think it's somewhat ignorant to rely solely on elections to make these essential changes that our country so desperately needs.
So she's saying that we should use emergency powers, like executive powers or whatever. Am I reading this correctly?
It's become abundantly clear that our entire system is rigged and corrupt. Why don't we, the people, get organized and take the power back?
I was giving her too much credit. I was assuming she was talking about using emergency powers. No, she's talking about overthrowing the government by force. My mistake.
Start a revolution. We should all know by now that you cannot comply your way out of tyranny, and the Dutch are leading by.
The word she's using here, revolution, it's not the right word, interestingly. There's a degree of nuance that goes in this. Revolutions don't look to a mythical past. That's nationalist movements. Revolutions shun the past so much that they will even create a new system of dating and start from year zero because they hate their past so much, because they hate their leader so much. And what happened? That's what revolutions are commonly. Now, a lot of the time revolutions end in dictatorship. Not always, but a lot, like entirely too often. I was just reading about it, and that's kind of the conclusion that I came to and the information I found on it. Kind of interesting. Point is, she's not using the right word here.
Incredible example. So why can't we do that here in America? Why are we allowing these evil elites to dictate our lives?
Okay, check this next one out. Oh, God, I'm about to get eaten by spike tops. All right, listen to this one. This one is, oh, God, this one is just, okay, just listen.
So my question to you is, when are you going to finally put your foot down and just say no? When is enough going to be enough? How many times do you need to be deceived before you realize that you could have avoided being manipulated? I swear these sick liberals get off on big government telling them what to do. It's like an abusive relationship. Govern me harder, Zaddy.
No, 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 no. That is not acceptable. Don't say that, please. That's too much. I can't. All right, just check out what Alison Steinberg had to say to Peter McCullough here. Oh, God, I want to vomit now after what she just said.
Week begins today in America. It's the perfect time for parents and patients alike to discover that transgender medicine is not the answer.
I'm sorry. I just need a second after that. We're going to step back. That's a lot. That was absolutely awful. I forgot that she said that. Ugh. I apologize for that one.
Mental Health Awareness Week begins today in America. It's the perfect time for parents and patients alike to discover that transgender medicine is not the answer when it comes to handling the psychiatric drivers of gender dysphoria in teenagers. Joining me now with more.
She's pretending to be like a valid, like a journalist. She's pretending to be a journalist here. She's not. She's a political commentator, and she is psychotic at that, obviously, and says deeply disturbing, horrific things that I just cannot abide by.
Internist, cardiologist, epidemiologist, and chief scientific officer of the wellness company, Dr. Peter McCullough.
Oh, that's right. He's a cardiologist originally. Heart health and all that junk. I forgot. Okay. He said that like way earlier in the thing. So is he an epidemiologist? Like, what's his area of specialty? I thought usually doctors specialize in like one thing. Did he specialize in cardiology and then when COVID came along decided to switch professions completely, just move over to something new because he wanted to propagandize? Is that what happened? I'm not sure.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Doctor. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I know you've been speaking out quite a bit on this topic. It is so important, I think, to discuss further the impacts of these gender surgeries that are happening among so many teens in America. Can you tell us more about what you found from recent studies? I know you published something on your Substack, Courageous Discourse, discussing the effects of transgender medicine. Can you tell us more about that?
Discussing the effects of transgender medicine, she says. Okay, go on. You got my attention.
Since 2016, the Obama administration and Obamacare
Obama, oh no, Obama's to blame. Of course, that checks out.
wrote in that gender-affirming procedures and surgeries, were mandated to be covered by CMS and commercial insurances.
No, really. Obama said that you must cover certain types of surgeries if it's found to be medically necessary or treatments. You telling me that if something is deemed medically necessary by a doctor and you're paying a company money to make sure that you're covered, that they have to make sure that you're covered with stuff? Okay, wow. That's messed up, man. Thanks, Obama.
That opened up an entire floodgate of individuals moving forward for transgender operations. And what we found out is that this was largely driven by autism.
Oh, no. Okay, wow. I thought this is going to be about vaccines causing autism because he claims to be like a vaccinologist or whatever, or an epidemiologist. I'm sorry. I don't even know if he is. He's misrepresented himself every step of the way so far. I don't know why I should trust him on this, but anyway. Oh, shit.
Autism is exploding. It's now 1 in 36 children born today. And as autistic kids move forward, as they approach puberty,
Oh, please tell me that you believe that it's because of vaccines. Please say it.
they're likely to have gender dysphoria. And now they're being preyed upon by this transgender agenda.
Okay, I'm not actually sure that that's accurate. It might be that people who have autism are more likely to be trans. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I don't know. This is like a co-diagnosis. It's like a comorbidity without having like the morbidity aspect. God, what's the word I'm looking for here? Somebody help me out. Co-diagnosis, maybe? Anyway, it's possible that there are like two diagnoses. Maybe there's a causal link. So far, they're just correlated. There's no causation proven here. Maybe something caused both. I mean, there's no telling. It doesn't make either one less valid, but that's what's being implied here, of course.
And so, as those vignettes pointed out, the hormones and the procedures are not reversible. They make gender dysphoria worse.
That is inaccurate. It's completely wrong what he's saying here. So oh my God, I fell. He's a cardiologist, moonlighting as an epidemiologist, apparently, ? Comorbidity, is that the word? Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the correct term. Somebody's saying that comorbidity is the right term. Anyway, he's moonlighting as an epidemiologist, and now, apparently, he's a psychologist, too. Fascinating. I had no idea he was so, well-read and so, spread out in his disciplines. That's actually pretty impressive. Jeez, dude can do it all, can't he? As long as Fox News wants him to do it. That is. I guess he can do it all. Or OAN.
Increase the burden of care. And sadly, in a paper published recently in JAMA by Jackson and colleagues, mortality from suicide, homicide, and other causes skyrockets after these transgender procedures. They're complicated.
Again, I don't even know if this is true. This is almost certainly a lie, right? It seems to me. I can't imagine that he's accurately representing the truth with this, and he's already proven himself to be a liar. He lied. I mean, in my opinion anyway, just so don't sue me. In my opinion, knowingly falsified the truth. That's the way that it seems to me.
And they result in many, many setbacks for these individuals. So as you're aware, many states now have legislation to ban gender transition surgeries and hormonal therapy before the age of 18.
And I think that is absolutely necessary because not enough is being done right now. The fact that kids can just
this is not happening.
Go to these doctors, as we saw earlier, one meeting, and then they're just given the okay signed off by.
This is fabricated. This is not what's going on. Kids go to a single meeting with a doctor, one meeting, and they get the okay signed off on surgery. What the hell are you smoking? Even adults can't do that. Even adults have to go through this big, long thing before they can get any kind of surgeries or any hormones or whatever. I know somebody who's going through this process right now, and this person is in their 20s, maybe early 30s. No, 20s. They're in their 20s, late 20s. And it's a long, hard road. They have to live as the gender that they've identified for years before anything is taken seriously to any degree. Before anybody gives it any credence at all, they have to take massive steps. They have to come out to their family and all kinds of shit. It's hard. It is hard to do this. You don't get a signed off okay from a doctor. It's not how it works. But far be it from me to stop their propaganda.
The insurance to go forward with the procedures. I mean, it's devastating. And so many of these kids have no idea. They're not informed about the lifelong repercussions to make these transitions. Why is it that doctors are able to mislead patients and not give informed consent regarding this matter?
This is completely made up. Doctors are not allowed to give conformed consent? Is that what you just said?
About the lifelong repercussions to make these transitions. Why is it that doctors are able to mislead patients and not give informed consent regarding this?
I'm sorry, why are they able to not give conformed consent? Just a complete fabrication, living in her head.
This matter.
It violates the Hippocratic Oath to do harm. And we know that gender affirming or changing hormonal therapies that work at the level of the pituitary gland and then after puberty, the androgen estrogens cause harm. In those vignettes, you can...
this whole thing's fabricated, all of it. And also, he's not an expert in this field of medicine anyway. He's wearing a lab coat right now with a green screen. Is he in his lab? If so, why a green screen? I get the impression he's sitting at home wearing a lab coat with a green screen up, like mine. Like my green screen. He's sitting at home using a green screen, pretending to be a doctor. He very well may be a doctor. I think he's probably a doctor. I'll give him that. But he's not an expert in every area of medicine the way he's presenting.
You can tell the voice has changed in these girls. It'll never go back. Their voices are changed into male-like voices.
No, that's inaccurate. Changing your voice takes a lot of time and effort. It's not something that you can just do all willy-nilly. It takes voice training. I know people who have been trans for their entire adult life. They're like 50 years old and they're trans. Very influential people, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know if it weren't for the voice. It's very, very difficult to master that. But he doesn't seem to be knowledgeable about this area of science at all. RNA is DNA. It's half of a DNA strand. That's what I thought. Yes, I was pretty confident about that. Welcome, next next TYT reporter. I remember you. I haven't seen you around for a while. It's pretty cool. Glad you made it. Michigan crime time. Jazz Jennings got bottom surgery, quote unquote, at 17. Jazz Jennings. Who's Jazz Jennings? Hang on. I really want to figure this out. Is this true? I'm finding an example. Or I'm finding people.com saying that. If this is true and that's correct, I want to be correct too. So I really want to figure this out. I am only seeing this from propaganda sites. Okay, here, New York Times. That's not fantastic, but it's something at least. New York Times is kind of a little bit credible, mostly on most things, I guess you could say. New York Times credible on many things. Politicized issues, not so much, but Jazz Jennings has been in the spotlight since 2007 when she was 6 and appeared on the ABC News program 2020. Wearing a dress, she opened up to Barbara Walters about being a transgender child at a time when mainstream audiences didn't often hear from those voices. Okay, this isn't good grammar. 13 years later, Ms. Jennings, now 19, continues to be an advocate for LGBT youth. She has had a doll modeled after her, written a children's book and a memoir. Wow, that's cool. And with her family, started the Trans Kids Purple Rainbow Foundation. And she's the star of the TLC reality show I Am Jazz, which returned for its 6th season this week. I have not heard of this. That's crazy that I haven't heard of it. TV viewers have followed many firsts in Miss Jennings' daily life, from going to prom to having a boyfriend. They tuned in when she had her gender confirmation surgery in New York City last season, surrounded by her parents and 3 older siblings. There were complications after the surgery, and several follow-up procedures and visits with doctors were also chronicled on the show. Around the country, children and teenagers watch Miss Jennings go about her life at a time when some states are pushing back on trans youth, seeking the kinds of medical treatments the TV star and her friends have received. In South Dakota, young trans people fear a bill that would restrict access to hormone treatments and surgeries on anyone under the age of 16. Okay, this is my wife's input on this. She is in law school and she's writing a paper on gender-affirming care. Is that right?
Yeah, and I'm avoiding being on video because I'm currently in finals season and a complete mess. But
that's
we're
okay.
we're good.
So tell me about it. Like, what's the deal with this? What have you found?
So as far as gender affirming surgeries go, those typically don't happen for minors in general, except for severe cases of gender dysphoria, and only after all other measures have been tried. The idea that states want to ban surgeries is a bit of a red herring because they don't actually occur, not in the way that they're describing.
To my knowledge, I looked into this a while back and I found that breast augmentation happens at 15 on some occasions, extremely uncommon. I think there were like 2,000 cases in a year a while back. It's been forever since I looked, but what about other surgeries? Do you know anything about it, or?
A little bit. So generally, the most that happens is top surgery, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And while they are on the rise, it's just like left-handedness was on the rise after people stopped demonizing it. It doesn't mean that it wasn't needed before. It just means that because it's available now, the people who need it can get it. However, it's more common for cisgender female teenagers to receive top surgery like breast enhancements than it is for a trans child to receive top surgery. And in fact, many of the bans that I've looked into, because I'm writing a paper on this, have exceptions to allow cisgender teenage girls to continue to receive breast enhancements.
Very interesting. Okay, so it's extremely uncommon, but I guess that it does happen from time to time then, is what I'm reading. Is that right?
Right, but again, it is extremely uncommon. It's more likely that a teenager will be placed on puberty blockers followed by hormone replacement therapy than it is for them to receive any kind of gender-affirming surgery while they're still a minor.
And I understand that puberty blockers are extremely rare in their own right. Like, so I think, 12,000 cases or something in a year not too long ago. And Matt Walsh thought it was like millions.
Yeah, it is pretty uncommon, but it is available. It's a safe option. It has been studied long term, and it is safe for teenagers to be able to take long term with no little to no side effects. One of the things that they're most concerned about is teenage fertility, which in and of itself is bizarre and deserves a discussion. But the fact of the matter is puberty blockers don't affect fertility long term.
Right. And that's one of the big propagandistic framing devices people have been using lately, right? And to my knowledge, actually, I think puberty blockers are used for other purposes other than this. That's why they exist in the first place. And they've been proven to be just fine. They're 100% safe.
Absolutely.
I think case of cancer or something is when they were used.
Yeah, puberty blockers have been used to treat prostate cancer, things like precocious puberty for when a child experiences puberty before the age of 9 in boys and 8 in girls. And they've been used since the 80s for those purposes and since the 90s to help transgender children. So they have been around for a long time and they are completely safe.
Interesting. All right. Anything else you want to add to the conversation before we split?
Just one thing. As I've been reading through these bans and the justifications for these bans, it's a disturbing trend that conservatives are saying that they have a compelling interest in ensuring that children are fertile. That they can go on to have children later on. And for one, just that framing in and of itself is bizarre and disturbing. But for another, it places more value on children's potential reproductive capabilities than it does on the child themselves as they currently are. And coming from the party that supposedly values children, this is an obvious hypocrisy on their part.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think a Republican politician recently referred to young children as ripe and fertile, quote unquote. Like, what a disturbing thing to say. Why would you say that?
But Democrats are the ones who are pedophiles and groomers, of course.
Totally. Absolutely. Anyway, well, thank you for the information. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, cool. Anyway, there you go. Knowing is half the battle, as G.I. Joe says. All right, let's continue listening to this guy propagandize and lie about trans stuff. By the way, we completely got off track. Like, they're going down the trans rabbit hole now. We were talking about turbo cancers. Like, this guy's just completely full of it. Completely.
We now know that the voice box surgery to try to make the Adam's apple get less prominent in...
I have never heard of that before. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just don't know anything about that. Is that real?
Boys who are transitioning to girls, that causes problems. And in the end, the voice is distorted and doesn't achieve its outcomes.
Doesn't achieve its outcomes. It sounds like it does achieve its outcomes. You mean it doesn't achieve its goals?
One girl pointed out the mastectomy of normal tissues results
Mastectomy being a breast reduction surgery.
In complications. Doctors who are doing this are violating their oath. They should do no harm. Transgender medicine is bad clinical medicine, and it should be stopped right now before more people are hurt.
It's just disgusting. This dude is absolutely terrible. That was a state senator from Oklahoma. Wait, talking about Oklahoma wanting child marriage? Yes. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for the message here, Jessa Proxy. You can get Adam's apple shaved? Okay, interesting. What a bizarre thing to say. Why would you say something? Why would you use the word child and ripe in the same sentence unless you're describing how f***ed up and creepy that is, like I am right now? There's no reason you should ever do that otherwise, ever. Many bills have exceptions for mastectomies, which is breast reduction, according to my wife. Bizarrely, they seem to be obsessed with children's breasts, as she says. Yeah, they're obsessed with children in general, seemingly. I don't know. It's too much, man. It's just too much. Adam's apples are one of the surgeries available, apparently, but it is more common for teenagers to use puberty blockers to prevent their growth or HRT to reduce their size. Once again, that's from my wife, but once again, I will point out to the audience that it is so obscenely uncommon for any of this stuff to even take place. people fearmonger about, oh my God, they're tripled. In 2019, they tripled or some other nonsense like that. That may be that they tripled, but tripling from, I don't know, 4,000 to 12,000 in a country of 325 million isn't that much. They're on the rise 300%, but they make up 0.00001% of the country, so, or something. Yeah, I didn't do the math on that, but I'm trying to make a point here. Right, mastectomy is not a breast reduction, it's a breast removal. Oh, is it? Is that the case? Okay, my mistake. Ectomy means removal. I assumed that when the word mast is used in conjunction with the word ectomy, I assumed it meant removal of breast tissue, whether all of it or some of it. The way politicians use the term is not medically accurate, apparently. They call mastectomies and breast reductions the same thing. Okay, says my wife in a lot of cases. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Well, let's keep listening to Peter McCullough here.
Absolutely. And you mentioned autism earlier, that we're seeing a rise in that. Do you have any idea as to what is causing the rise in autism?
I don't know that that's true, but the answer is no, he doesn't. This guy is not a psychologist, and I doubt he even has the data in front of him. Oh, he is in his lab, apparently. He's wearing a lab coat, and anybody wearing a lab coat is in their lab, of course.
And leading so many children down this path.
When I was a child, the rate of autism was 1 in 10,000. Now the CDC says it's 1 in 36 today.
Yeah, autism is on the rise today. That's true. But that's for a very unique reason. Well, autism didn't exist until recently. The first person to be diagnosed with autism ever just died not too long ago, like in this past year or two, I think. It's a phenomenon that's just being studied. Not that it didn't exist. It's always existed. It just wasn't recognized or understood until fairly recently. Just like germs weren't, well understood or understood at all, honestly, until recently. And I accidentally killed that guy when I needed him. That sucks.
We know that there's just a few risk factors that aren't explanatory. It's more likely to be in siblings and then parents at an older age. But this is such an explosive rise. It can't be genetic. It has to do to...
It can't be genetic? Why not? He says it can't be genetic. That's kind of authoritative, isn't it? It could be all kinds of things. Hell, it could be a mix of things. He's just making shit up and wearing a lab coat so people believe him. This is insane.
With some type of exposure that's occurring broadly in children, and it's worldwide. And it's theorized,
Wait. I'm sorry. Hold on now. He's going down a weird rabbit hole. Some kind of exposure? He said it can't be genetic and gave us literally no reason for why. He says it has to be exposure related?
The rise, it can't be genetic. It has to do with some type of exposure that's occurring broadly in children, and it's...
No, autism is a difference in the way that your brain operates, to my knowledge, and it's something that you're either born with or you're not. It's not something that you develop after getting vaccinated. You can't be exposed to it and then later I don't know, become autistic as a result of what you're exposed to. That's just completely made up. This guy is a doctor, apparently, allegedly. The hell is happening?
Worldwide. And it's theorized, something in...
Oh, it's theorized. Go on.
In the water supply, food supply, glyphosate used as a herbicide. One theory, no one knows for sure, is that it's hypervaccination. It's the really accelerating, intensifying vaccine immunization schedule.
You got to be fucking kidding me with this. This is a joke. Okay, I got to take this down. Peter God, his name is so hard to spell. McCullough says autism is caused by vaccination. It is not. It is not caused by vaccines. It is not possible that is the case. The guy that came up with this, Andrew Wakefield, was, he had his paper pulled from the medical journal. It wasn't peer reviewed yet, to my knowledge. It was it was waiting for peer review. and the journal removed its publication. They do that from time to time because it's garbage. It's worthless. It's nonsense. And it's been proven time and time again to be complete BS. But this is like the myth that will never die, apparently, that autism is caused by vaccines. An alleged self-proclaimed epidemiologist saying this stuff. Seriously.
That is behind it. There are vignettes where children receive multiple.
Why does he keep using that word, vignette? Like a little window into somebody's life or a window into something? Why do you keep saying that?
Multiple vaccines, let's say a 2-year-old, they have a febrile seizure, and then the parent notes at that point and forward the child is autistic. They're never the same again. So there needs to be research, all hands on deck to find out what's causing autism now, because autism is clearly driving this transgender tendency, this gender dysphoria.
Wow. You caught what he just did there, right? He moved from, what's the word I'm looking for here? He moved from being trans to being autistic to vaccines. He's blaming the rise in people being trans on vaccines. That is insane. Get help.
And they're being preyed upon. Recently, the Autism Advocacy Network came out with a strong statement in support of transgender medicine. Wow. So I can tell you
Well, yeah, of course.
The autistic community actually wants this transgender medicine.
Nobody, he's saying it as though like people want to be trans and they're trying to spread being trans or something. Yes, trans surgery should be more readily available. It should be easier to access. Absolutely, 100%. But like, what's with this framing?
And it's causing great harm. It should be stopped. What autistic kids and people need is they need cognitive behavioral therapy, not
CBT. That's, if you're unfamiliar, that's the common treatment for a lot of mental conditions that people deal with. When you're dealing with anxiety, depression, stress, it's where a therapist kind of goes through your life and points out cognitive distortions that you're dealing with. Catastrophizing. Are things really as bad as you're saying right now, or are you catastrophizing? I don't remember. Black and white thinking, generalizing. There are a whole bunch of cognitive distortions that aren't valuable or helpful or real. They don't represent reality at all. And it's important that you recognize when something that you think, one of your beliefs, it's important you recognize when those beliefs are not accurate, that they don't represent reality. Personalization. Our team lost because of me. Shoulding and musting, using language that is self-critical, that puts a lot of pressure on you. I should be losing weight. Mental filter, focusing on the negatives, such as one aspect of a health change which you didn't do well. I am terrible at getting enough sleep, for example. Fortune telling, my cholesterol is going to be sky high. These are some of the cognitive distortions. Disqualifying the positive. I answered that well, but it was a lucky guess. There are like a billion cognitive distortions, and there are also a billion coping mechanisms that you can use when you're struggling with like anxiety or depression or whatever. You can use coping mechanisms to get through and, fight these cognitive distortions. But the first step is to recognize when you're having a cognitive distortion. Anyway, he's saying that CBT is the solution to did he say being trans? It's a solution to being trans?
He wants this transgender medicine and is causing great harm. It should be stopped. What autistic kids and people need is they need cognitive behavioral therapy, not hormones or surgical procedures.
Everybody should have CBT, in my opinion, at some point. I guess I could agree with that, but because they're trans, instead of just getting gender affirming care, they should have CBT. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's definitely a great start instead of just.
So we've got a cardiologist, wearing his little lab coat, moonlighting as an epidemiologist, who is further moonlighting as a psychiatrist. Great.
And people need is they need cognitive behavioral therapy, not hormones or surgical procedures.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's definitely a great start instead of just jumping into the medical procedures, which we're seeing happen time and time again. Now, I want to switch gears before we head out, Doctor. I know there's some very important issues happening currently with the World Health Organization. I think this is probably the most important issue that not.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. This is so funny that they're talking about this now. At this moment in history, when this video came out, when did this release? This came out, okay. Wow, this came out in This came out in 2023. Interesting. The prevailing conspiracy about the World Health Organization right now, anytime conspiracy theorists bring up the WHO, it is to point out that the WHO controls the United States, that a bill passed that gives them the ability to control us under any circumstances, blah, 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 blah. It's just complete garbage nonsense, all of it. Anyway, yeah, let's see if that's what she's going to endorse here. This game is trippy. Oh, I know, right? It's a crazy cool game.
Maybe they don't even know it's happening, but I know you do, and I'm so grateful for that. But the World Health Organization's annual assembly of all member nations is set to meet May 22nd through the 28th in Geneva, Switzerland, where they're going to vote on the adoption of the Biden administration's proposed amendments to the already existing 2005 International Health Regulations Treaty. Now, if this is passed, it would give the WHO global governance and basically allow them to declare.
It's just complete bullshit, what she's saying right now. I can't believe she's talking about this conspiracy theory right now. It's like I didn't hear anything about it for 2 years, and all of a sudden it's everywhere.
Pandemics and implement forced vaccinations in the digital ID.
Bullshit. All of it. They're going to, the World Health Organization is going to do like digital ID and forced vaccinations?
Treaty. Now, if this is passed, it would give the WHO global governance and basically allow them to declare pandemics and implement forced vaccinations in the digital ID. Congressman Andy Biggs has proposed H.R. 79, which ultimately would pull us out so that we retain sovereignty over our health care in the U.S. Can you please speak
again, complete nonsense. It's just a lie.
To the importance of this, Doctor, and what we may face if we don't actually end up withdrawing from this?
United States should pull out of the WHO. We don't derive any benefit from the WHO.
Really? We don't derive benefit from the WHO? Okay, that's one take. Interesting.
Doesn't provide us any technology that we need. Its health recommendations are superfluous. We have great health care in the United States.
They're superfluous. For the United States, they might be superfluous. Maybe. They're not, but okay, let's just take that for a second. Maybe that they are. But for a lot of countries, they're not. They need their recommendations and their advice and their help. And if we are not, as the United States, involved in the WHO, helping other smaller, lesser developed countries or whatever, who's going to? We have to help fund the WHO. It's valuable that the WHO exists. It's also valuable that the United Nations exists. They're two large organizations that are kind of international. And anytime international organizations are brought up, there's fear-mongering. People get all freaked out.
The World Health Organization aspires to have dominion over all humans, animals, and plants.
Dude, what the hell are you talking about right now? Over all humans, animals, and plants?
In terms of decisions with respect to their biologic care or health care. And so this is too broad, it's too sweeping, and it's not needed. The World Health Organization is fine in terms of doing data analytics, doing in vitro diagnostics, outbreak investigations, but they don't help the United States at all.
You just listed ways in which they help the United States.
And at this point in time, WHO is largely funded by the Chinese and the Gates Foundation. They're not reliant on U.S. funding at all.
Dude, are you kidding me? They're largely funded by Bill Gates. These conspiracies are going completely off the rails now. This is just too much.
We should pull out and not have any encumbrances with what the WHO wants to do with its regulations. If we don't pull out, they'll have binding authority over the U.S. by international law, and we don't want that.
We absolutely don't, especially because we know that people like Bill Gates are already warning us about the next pandemic when we haven't had pandemics for decades, hundreds of years, and now all of a sudden it's just,
No, we've had pandemics. AIDS was a pandemic, or is a pandemic. It spread from the United States or from wherever it started. I'm not even sure exactly where it started. Spread throughout the entire world. The U.S. got hit really hard with HIV. So that's not even like that long ago. HIV is an absolutely terrible pandemic.
Pandemics here, pandemics there. So it is very scary, and it's a very important matter. And I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to that. Thank you for all the wonderful work that you're doing to raise awareness around these important topics. And please let people know where they can find you and follow you for more, Doctor.
This is psychotic. This is absolutely psychotic. Well, we weren't even talking about this dude, but now I have to talk about like the crazy shit that he said. Just insane, man. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. Stick around for the next part and where we're going to talk about this at more length.